Ecology, derived from the Greek word oikos, meaning house or environment, is a branch of biology that studies the interactions between living organisms and their physical environment. These interactions influence the distribution and abundance of organisms, the composition of populations, the behavior of species, and the flow of energy and nutrients within ecosystems. As the science of how organisms interact with each other and their surroundings, ecology provides a crucial understanding of the natural world, which is essential for addressing many of the environmental challenges we face today. Importance of studying ecological interactions. The study of ecology is vital for several reasons. First, it helps us understand the natural processes that sustain life on Earth. By examining how organisms interact with their environment, ecologists can uncover the mechanisms that drive the diversity of life forms and their adaptations to different habitats. This knowledge is essential for the conservation of biodiversity, as it allows us to identify the key factors that support healthy ecosystems and the species within them. Second, ecology provides insights into the functioning of ecosystems, which are the foundational units of the natural world. Ecosystems provide essential services such as clean water, air purification, pollination of crops, and decomposition of waste. By understanding how these systems work, we can better manage and protect them to ensure they continue to provide these critical services. Third, ecology is fundamental to addressing environmental problems such as climate change, habitat destruction, pollution, and invasive species. Ecologists study the impacts of these issues on ecosystems and develop strategies to mitigate their effects. For example, understanding the carbon cycle and how different ecosystems sequester carbon can inform efforts to combat climate change. Overview of key concepts in ecology. Ecology encompasses a wide range of topics, but some key concepts form the foundation of the field. These concepts include ecosystems, energy flow, nutrient cycling, population dynamics, and community interactions. Ecosystems are dynamic communities of organisms interacting with each other and their non-living environment. They can vary greatly in size and complexity, from a small pond to a vast forest or ocean. Ecosystems are characterized by the flow of energy and the cycling of nutrients through the system, which supports the diverse array of life forms within it. Energy flow in ecosystems begins with primary producers, such as plants and algae, that capture energy from the sun through photosynthesis. This energy is then transferred through the food chain to primary consumers, herbivores, secondary consumers, carnivores, and decomposers, organisms that break down dead material. Understanding how energy flows through ecosystems helps ecologists understand the structure and function of different ecological communities. Nutrient cycling involves the movement of essential elements like carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus through the environment. These nutrients are cycled between living organisms and the physical environment in a continuous loop. For instance, plants take up nutrients from the soil, animals obtain nutrients by consuming plants or other animals, and decomposers return nutrients to the soil when they break down organic matter. Population dynamics examines the changes in the size and composition of populations over time. Factors such as birth rates, death rates, immigration, and emigration influence population size and structure. By studying population dynamics, ecologists can predict how populations will respond to changes in their environment, such as habitat loss or climate change. Community interactions involve the various ways species interact within a community. These interactions include competition, predation, mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism. Each type of interaction plays a role in shaping the structure and function of ecological communities. For example, predation can control the population size of prey species, while mutualistic relationships can enhance the survival and reproduction of the species involved. In summary, ecology provides a comprehensive framework for understanding the complex interactions that sustain life on Earth. By studying these interactions, we can gain valuable insights into the natural world and develop strategies to protect and preserve our planet for future generations. Understanding ecosystems. Interconnected life systems. Ecosystems are the fundamental units of the natural world, encompassing all living organisms and their physical environment in a specific area. These dynamic and complex systems are characterized by intricate interactions between biotic, living, and abiotic, non-living components. By understanding ecosystems, we gain insight into the delicate balance that sustains life on Earth, the processes that drive ecological stability, and the impact of human activities on these natural systems. Definition and components of ecosystems. An ecosystem is a community of living organisms, plants, animals, and microorganisms, interacting with each other and their physical environment. The physical environment includes abiotic components such as soil, water, air, and sunlight. These interactions form a network of relationships that contribute to the flow of energy and cycling of nutrients within the ecosystem. Ecosystems can vary greatly in size and complexity. They can be as small as a puddle or as vast as a rainforest or ocean. Despite their differences, all ecosystems share common features, including producers, organisms that produce their own food, consumers, organisms that eat other organisms, and decomposers, organisms that break down dead material. Examples of different ecosystems. The diversity of ecosystems on Earth is vast, each with its unique characteristics and species adapted to specific conditions. Some common examples of ecosystems include forests, characterized by dense tree cover. Forests are home to a wide variety of plant and animal species. Forests play a crucial role in carbon sequestration, water regulation, and habitat provision. Grasslands, dominated by grasses rather than large trees, grasslands support a diversity of herbivores and their predators. They are important for soil conservation and are often used for agriculture. Oceans, covering over 70% of the Earth's surface, oceans are the largest ecosystems. They regulate climate, provide food, and support diverse marine life, from microscopic plankton to large whales. Deserts. With low precipitation, deserts have adapted plants and animals that can survive extreme conditions. Deserts play a role in Earth's climate and house unique biodiversity. Wetlands. These ecosystems are saturated with water, either permanently or seasonally. Wetlands are vital for water purification, flood control, and providing habitats for a range of species. The concept of ecological balance. Ecological balance refers to the stability and sustainability of an ecosystem. It is achieved when the interactions between organisms and their environment result in a steady state where species populations remain relatively constant over time. This balance is crucial for the health and functioning of ecosystems. Several factors contribute to ecological balance, including energy flow. The transfer of energy through food chains and food webs maintains the structure of the ecosystem. Primary producers, such as plants, capture energy from the sun, which is then passed on to herbivores, predators, and decomposers. Nutrient cycling. The recycling of essential nutrients like carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus ensures the availability of these elements for all living organisms. Decomposers play a key role in breaking down organic matter and returning nutrients to the soil. Species interactions. Interactions such as predation, competition, and mutualism influence population sizes and community structure. These interactions help regulate species abundance and maintain diversity. Adaptation and evolution. Over time, species adapt to their environment through natural selection. These adaptations contribute to the resilience and stability of ecosystems. Human impact on ecosystems. Human activities have significantly altered ecosystems, often disrupting the delicate balance that sustains them. Deforestation, pollution, climate change, and urbanization are some of the major factors affecting ecosystems worldwide. These impacts can lead to habitat loss, species extinction, and reduced ecosystem services, such as clean water and air. To mitigate these effects, it is essential to adopt sustainable practices that protect and restore ecosystems. Conservation efforts, such as establishing protected areas, restoring degraded habitats, and reducing pollution, are vital for maintaining ecological balance and ensuring the continued provision of ecosystem services. Conclusion: understanding ecosystems as interconnected life systems is crucial for appreciating the complexity and beauty of the natural world. By studying the components and dynamics of ecosystems, we can better manage and protect these vital systems, ensuring they continue to support life on Earth for generations to come. Through conservation and sustainable practices, we can help maintain ecological balance and the health of our planet. Abiotic and biotic components. Ecosystems are composed of both abiotic, non-living, and biotic, living, components. Understanding these components and how they interact is essential to comprehending how ecosystems function, maintain balance, and support life. Abiotic factors create the physical environment that influences the presence and activities of living organisms, while biotic factors include all the living entities within an ecosystem and their interactions. Abiotic factors. The physical environment. Abiotic factors are the non-living physical and chemical elements of an ecosystem. These factors create the conditions necessary for life and influence the types of organisms that can survive and thrive in a particular environment. Key abiotic factors include temperature. The temperature range of an environment affects the metabolic rates of organisms, influencing their growth, reproduction, and survival. Different species are adapted to different temperature ranges, and extreme temperatures can limit the distribution of certain organisms. Water. Water is essential for all living organisms. It is involved in various biological processes such as photosynthesis, nutrient transport, and cellular metabolism. The availability and quality of water influence the distribution and abundance of species in an ecosystem. Light. Light is the primary source of energy for photosynthetic organisms, such as plants and algae. The intensity and duration of light affect photosynthesis rates, plant growth, and the behavior of many animals. Soil. Soil composition, structure, and nutrient content play a crucial role in supporting plant life, which in turn supports other organisms. Soil provides essential nutrients, water, and a medium for plant roots to anchor. Air. The composition of gases in the atmosphere, particularly oxygen and carbon dioxide, affects respiration and photosynthesis. Air quality and availability can significantly influence the health and distribution of organisms. Minerals and nutrients. The presence of essential minerals and nutrients in the soil and water is vital for the growth and development of organisms. These nutrients are cycled through the ecosystem and are crucial for maintaining ecological balance. Biotic factors. The living organisms. Biotic factors are the living components of an ecosystem, encompassing all organisms from microscopic bacteria to large mammals. These factors include the interactions and relationships between organisms, which can be categorized into producers, consumers, and decomposers. Producers. Autotrophs producers are organisms that can produce their own food using sunlight, photosynthesis, or chemical energy, chemosynthesis. Plants, algae, and some bacteria are primary producers that form the base of the food web, converting abiotic energy into organic matter that other organisms can consume. Consumers. Heterotrophs consumers are organisms that obtain their energy by consuming other organisms. They can be classified into different levels based on their diet. Primary consumers, herbivores that eat producers, e.g., deer, caterpillars. Secondary consumers, carnivores that eat primary consumers, e.g., wolves, birds of prey. Tertiary consumers, apex predators that eat secondary consumers, e.g., lions, eagles. Omnivores, organisms that consume both plants and animals, e.g., humans, bears. Decomposers, detritivores decomposers, such as fungi, bacteria, and certain insects, break down dead organic matter, returning nutrients to the soil and making them available for producers. This decomposition process is essential for nutrient cycling and maintaining soil health. Interaction between abiotic and biotic components. The interplay between abiotic and biotic components shapes the structure and dynamics of ecosystems. Abiotic factors create the physical environment that influences the presence, distribution, and behavior of living organisms. In turn, biotic factors can alter abiotic conditions. For example, plants can modify the soil composition through root exudates and litter fall, while animals can affect soil structure through burrowing activities. The interactions between abiotic and biotic components are essential for ecosystem functioning. For instance, plants, biotic, rely on sunlight, water, and nutrients, abiotic, to grow and produce energy through photosynthesis. Herbivores, biotic, consume plants for energy, while predators, biotic, control herbivore populations. Decomposers, biotic, break down dead organisms, returning nutrients to the soil, abiotic, which then supports new plant growth. Conclusion: understanding the roles of abiotic and biotic components in ecosystems provides a comprehensive view of how life is sustained on Earth. Abiotic factors set the stage for life by creating the physical and chemical conditions necessary for survival, while biotic factors involve the complex web of interactions among living organisms. Together, these components form the intricate and dynamic systems that make up our natural world, highlighting the interconnectedness and interdependence of all life forms. Energy flow and nutrient cycling. Energy flow and nutrient cycling are fundamental processes that sustain ecosystems. These processes involve the transfer of energy and nutrients from one organism to another through various trophic levels, ensuring that ecosystems function and maintain their balance. Understanding how energy flows and nutrients cycle within ecosystems provides insight into the intricate web of life that supports biodiversity and ecological stability. Energy flow in ecosystems. Energy flow in an ecosystem begins with the primary producers, which are autotrophs like plants, algae, and certain bacteria. These organisms capture solar energy through photosynthesis or chemical energy through chemosynthesis and convert it into organic matter. This stored energy forms the foundation of the food web. Primary producers. Primary producers use sunlight to create energy-rich organic compounds through photosynthesis. For example, plants convert carbon dioxide and water into glucose and oxygen. This energy supports not only the plants themselves, but also the consumers that feed on them. Primary consumers, herbivores or primary consumers, feed directly on primary producers. For instance, deer grazing on grass or caterpillars eating leaves transfer the energy stored in plants to their own bodies. Secondary consumers, carnivores or secondary consumers, eat primary consumers. Predators like wolves that hunt herbivores or birds that prey on insects are secondary consumers. This step in the food chain transfers energy from herbivores to higher trophic levels. Tertiary consumers. These are apex predators that feed on secondary consumers. Examples include lions preying on herbivores and carnivores alike, and eagles hunting other predators. Tertiary consumers occupy the top of the food chain and often have no natural predators. Decomposers. Decomposers, such as fungi and bacteria, break down dead organic matter, returning nutrients to the environment. This process releases energy and makes nutrients available for primary producers, completing the cycle. Energy transfer between these trophic levels is inefficient, with only about 10% of the energy being passed on to the next level. The rest is lost as heat through metabolic processes. This loss of energy limits the number of trophic levels in an ecosystem, as there is insufficient energy to support many higher-level consumers. Food chains and food webs. A food chain is a linear sequence of organisms where each is eaten by the next member in the chain. For example, a simple food chain might be grass, rabbit, fox. However, ecosystems are more accurately represented by food webs, which are complex networks of interconnected food chains. Food webs illustrate the multiple feeding relationships and energy flows within an ecosystem. For example, a single plant might be eaten by insects, which are then preyed upon by birds and spiders, while the plant is also consumed by herbivorous mammals. Nutrient cycling in ecosystems. Nutrient cycling refers to the movement and exchange of essential elements like carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus through the ecosystem. These nutrients are vital for the growth and survival of organisms. The carbon cycle. Carbon is a key element in organic molecules. It cycles through the ecosystem via processes such as photosynthesis, respiration, decomposition, and combustion. Plants absorb carbon dioxide during photosynthesis and convert it into organic matter. Animals consume plants, and carbon is transferred through the food chain. When organisms die, decomposers break down their bodies, releasing carbon back into the atmosphere as carbon dioxide or into the soil as organic matter. The nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen is essential for proteins and nucleic acids. It cycles through the ecosystem via nitrogen fixation, nitrification, assimilation, ammonification, and denitrification. Nitrogen-fixing bacteria convert atmospheric nitrogen into forms usable by plants. Animals then obtain nitrogen by eating plants. Decomposers convert organic nitrogen back into inorganic forms, which can be used again by plants or released back into the atmosphere. The phosphorus cycle. Phosphorus is critical for DNA, RNA, and ADP. Unlike carbon and nitrogen, phosphorus does not have a gaseous phase. It cycles through the ecosystem via weathering of rocks, absorption by plants, consumption by animals, and return to the soil through decomposition. Phosphorus is often a limiting nutrient in ecosystems, meaning its availability can limit biological productivity. The importance of energy flow and nutrient cycling. The efficient flow of energy and cycling of nutrients are crucial for the stability and productivity of ecosystems. Disruptions to these processes, such as habitat destruction, pollution, or climate change, can have profound impacts on ecosystem health and biodiversity. For example, excessive nutrient runoff from agriculture can lead to eutrophication in aquatic ecosystems, causing algal blooms and oxygen depletion. Understanding energy flow and nutrient cycling helps ecologists develop conservation strategies and sustainable practices to protect and restore ecosystems. By maintaining these vital processes, we can ensure the resilience and continued functioning of the natural world. Conclusion. Energy flow and nutrient cycling are the lifeblood of ecosystems, driving the interactions and relationships that sustain life. By studying these processes, we gain a deeper appreciation for the complexity of ecosystems and the importance of preserving their balance. Ensuring the health of these fundamental processes is essential for the well-being of all life on Earth. Populations, the building blocks of ecosystems. A population is defined as a group of individuals of the same species living in a specific geographic area at a given time. Populations are fundamental components of ecosystems, and their dynamics influence the structure and function of the larger ecological community. Understanding population dynamics involves examining factors such as birth rates, death rates, immigration, and emigration, which collectively determine population size and growth patterns. Definition of a population. A population consists of individuals of the same species that share a common habitat and interact with one another. These individuals can interbreed and produce fertile offspring. For example, a population of deer in a forest, a school of fish in a lake, or a colony of penguins on an island are all examples of populations. Populations are not static, they fluctuate over time due to various biotic and abiotic factors. Population dynamics. Factors influencing population size. Population dynamics refer to the changes in population size and composition over time. Several key factors influence these dynamics. Birth rate. Natality. The birth rate is the number of individuals born in a population over a specific period. High birth rates contribute to population growth, while low birth rates can lead to population decline. Death rate. Mortality. The death rate is the number of individuals that die in a population over a specific period. High death rates can decrease population size, while low death rates can contribute to population stability or growth. Immigration. Immigration is the movement of individuals into a population from other areas. Immigration can increase population size and genetic diversity. Emigration. Emigration is the movement of individuals out of a population to other areas. Emigration can decrease population size and alter the genetic composition of the remaining population. Population growth models. Understanding how populations grow and change is essential for managing wildlife, conserving endangered species, and studying ecological interactions. Two primary models describe population growth. Exponential growth. Exponential growth occurs when a population increases by a constant proportion over successive time periods. This type of growth is characterized by a J-shaped curve and typically occurs in environments with abundant resources and minimal limiting factors. However, exponential growth is unsustainable in the long term as resources eventually become limited. Logistic growth. Logistic growth describes population expansion that initially resembles exponential growth, but slows as the population approaches the carrying capacity of the environment. The carrying capacity is the maximum number of individuals that an environment can support indefinitely. This model produces an S-shaped curve and reflects the reality of resource limitations and competition. Factors affecting population growth. Several biotic and abiotic factors can influence population growth and regulation. Density-dependent factors. These factors affect population growth in relation to the population's density. Examples include competition for resources, predation, disease, and parasitism. As population density increases, these factors become more significant in limiting population growth. Density-independent factors. These factors impact population growth regardless of population density. Examples include natural disasters, e.g., hurricanes, floods, wildfires, extreme weather conditions, and human activities, e.g., habitat destruction, pollution. Density-independent factors can cause sudden and dramatic changes in population size. Population regulation and stability. Populations tend to fluctuate around a certain size due to the interplay of various regulatory mechanisms. These mechanisms help maintain population stability and prevent excessive growth or decline. Negative feedback. In ecological systems, negative feedback mechanisms work to stabilize populations. For example, when a population exceeds its carrying capacity, resource depletion leads to increased mortality and decreased birth rates, bringing the population size back in line with the environment's capacity. Predator-prey relationships. Predators and prey exert reciprocal influences on each other's population sizes. A high population of prey can support a larger population of predators, which in turn can reduce the prey population, leading to a cyclical pattern of population fluctuations. Ollie effect. This effect describes a phenomenon where populations at very low densities experience reduced growth rates. Factors such as difficulty finding mates and reduced genetic diversity can hinder population growth and recovery. Human impact on population dynamics. Human activities have profound effects on population dynamics. Habitat destruction, pollution, Overexploitation and climate change can significantly alter population sizes and growth rates. Conservation efforts aim to mitigate these impacts by protecting habitats, managing resources sustainably, and implementing measures to preserve genetic diversity and population viability. Conclusion: populations are the building blocks of ecosystems, and their dynamics shape the structure and function of ecological communities. By studying population dynamics, ecologists can predict how populations will respond to environmental changes, identify threats to biodiversity, and develop strategies for conservation and management. Understanding the factors that influence population size and growth is crucial for ensuring the sustainability of ecosystems and the species within them. Community interactions, coexistence, and competition. Community interactions are the relationships and processes that occur between different species living in a shared environment. These interactions are fundamental to the structure and function of ecological communities, influencing species diversity, population dynamics, and ecosystem stability. Understanding these interactions helps ecologists comprehend how species coexist, compete, and impact each other's survival and reproduction. Types of community interactions. Community interactions can be broadly categorized into several types, each with distinct ecological roles and consequences. Competition. Competition occurs when two or more species vie for the same limited resource, such as food, water, or habitat. This interaction can be either intraspecific, within the same species, or interspecific, between different species. Competition can lead to competitive exclusion, where one species outcompetes another, or resource partitioning, where species adapt to use different resources or niches to reduce direct competition. Predation. Predation involves one species, the predator, hunting and consuming another species, the prey. This interaction is crucial for regulating population sizes and maintaining the balance within communities. Predators often exert selective pressure on prey species, leading to adaptations such as camouflage, defensive behaviors, and warning coloration. Herbivory. Herbivory is a specific form of predation where primary consumers, such as herbivores, feed on plants or algae. This interaction influences plant community composition and dynamics, promoting plant diversity through selective feeding and seed dispersal. Mutualism. Mutualism is a cooperative interaction where both species benefit. Examples include pollination, where insects or birds help plants reproduce while obtaining nectar, and mycorrhizal associations, where fungi enhance plant nutrient uptake while receiving carbohydrates from the plant. Commensalism. Commensalism occurs when one species benefits from the interaction while the other is neither helped nor harmed. An example is barnacles attaching to whales. The barnacles gain mobility and access to food particles, while the whale is unaffected. Parasitism. Parasitism involves one species, the parasite, living on or in another species, the host, causing harm. Parasites can influence host population dynamics and community structure by affecting host health, reproduction, and behavior. Impact of community interactions on population dynamics. Community interactions play a crucial role in shaping population dynamics and ecosystem stability. Through these interactions, species influence each other's abundance, distribution, and evolutionary trajectories. Some key impacts include regulation of population sizes. Predation, competition, and parasitism are natural regulatory mechanisms that prevent any one species from becoming too dominant. Predators control prey populations, while competition limits the growth of species with overlapping niches. Parasitism reduces host population sizes, contributing to overall community balance. Promotion of biodiversity. Mutualistic and commensal relationships can enhance biodiversity by providing critical services such as pollination, seed dispersal, and habitat creation. These interactions enable diverse species to coexist and thrive within the same environment. Adaptive evolution. Community interactions drive natural selection and adaptive evolution. For example, prey species may develop defense mechanisms to avoid predation, while predators evolve more effective hunting strategies. This coevolutionary process leads to a dynamic balance between interacting species. Case studies of community interactions. Several well-known case studies illustrate the complexity and significance of community interactions. The wolf and elk dynamic in Yellowstone. The reintroduction of wolves to Yellowstone National Park had profound effects on the ecosystem. By preying on elk, wolves reduced elk populations, which allowed overgrazed vegetation to recover. This trophic cascade benefited other species, such as beavers and songbirds, by improving habitat conditions. Cleaner fish and client fish. In coral reefs, cleaner fish, such as cleaner wrasses, remove parasites from client fish. This mutualistic relationship improves the health and survival of client fish while providing food for the cleaner fish. This interaction supports the overall health of coral reef communities. The acacia tree and ants. Some species of acacia trees have mutualistic relationships with ants. The trees provide nectar and shelter in hollow thorns for the ants, which in turn defend the trees from herbivores and competing plants. This interaction enhances the survival and growth of both species. Human impact on community interactions. Human activities, such as habitat destruction, pollution, climate change, and the introduction of invasive species, can disrupt community interactions. These disruptions can lead to the decline or extinction of species, altered community structure, and reduced ecosystem services. Conservation efforts aim to preserve and restore natural interactions to maintain ecosystem health and resilience. Conclusion. Community interactions are the threads that weave the complex tapestry of life within ecosystems. By studying these interactions, ecologists gain insights into the mechanisms that regulate population dynamics, promote biodiversity, and drive adaptive evolution. Understanding and preserving these interactions is crucial for maintaining the stability and functioning of ecological communities in the face of environmental changes. Ecological succession, nature's path of change. Ecological succession is the process through which ecosystems undergo structural changes over time. These changes involve the gradual replacement of one community by another until a stable climax community is established. Succession is a fundamental concept in ecology, illustrating the dynamic nature of ecosystems and their ability to recover from disturbances. There are two main types of succession, primary and secondary, each with distinct characteristics and stages. Primary succession, building life from scratch. Primary succession occurs in lifeless areas where there is no soil or existing vegetation, such as newly formed volcanic islands, glacial retreats, or areas exposed by retreating glaciers. The process begins with the colonization of pioneer species, which are typically hardy organisms capable of surviving in harsh conditions. These species initiate soil formation and create conditions that allow other, less hardy species to establish themselves. Pioneer stage. The first colonizers in primary succession are usually lichens, mosses, and certain bacteria that can endure extreme conditions. These pioneers break down rocks into smaller particles through physical and chemical processes, contributing to soil formation. Their presence also helps to retain moisture and create a microenvironment suitable for other species. Intermediate stages. As soil accumulates and organic matter builds up from the decay of pioneer species, the environment becomes more hospitable. Grasses, herbs, and small shrubs begin to establish, further enriching the soil with organic material. These plants provide habitats and food for insects and small animals, which contribute to the ecosystem's complexity. Climax community. Over time, the ecosystem continues to develop, with larger plants such as trees becoming established. This leads to the formation of a stable climax community, which is typically more diverse and complex than the earlier stages. The climax community remains relatively stable until a significant disturbance resets the succession process. Secondary succession, recovery after disturbance. Secondary succession occurs in areas where an existing community has been disturbed or destroyed, but the soil remains intact. This type of succession is common in areas affected by natural events like wildfires, hurricanes, or human activities such as agriculture and logging. Since the soil is already present, secondary succession generally proceeds faster than primary succession. Disturbance. A disturbance event, such as a fire, flood, or human activity, removes the existing vegetation and disrupts the ecosystem. However, the soil and seed bank remain, providing a foundation for new growth. Pioneer stage. The first species to colonize the disturbed area are usually fast-growing plants, such as grasses and weeds. These pioneers stabilize the soil, prevent erosion, and create conditions that allow other species to establish. Intermediate stages. As the pioneer species modify the environment, more diverse plant species, including shrubs and young trees, begin to take root. This stage sees an increase in plant and animal diversity as the habitat becomes more complex. Climax community. Eventually, the ecosystem reaches a climax community similar to the one that existed before the disturbance. This stable community is characterized by mature trees, a diverse understory, and a balanced animal population. However, the specific species composition may differ depending on the nature and intensity of the disturbance. Importance of ecological succession. Ecological succession plays a crucial role in maintaining ecosystem resilience and biodiversity. It enables ecosystems to recover from disturbances and adapt to changing environmental conditions. Succession also promotes nutrient cycling and soil formation, which are essential for long-term ecosystem health. Biodiversity. Succession enhances biodiversity by providing opportunities for different species to colonize and thrive at various stages. Each stage of succession supports different communities of plants, animals, and microorganisms, contributing to overall ecosystem diversity. Habitat restoration. Understanding succession is essential for habitat restoration and conservation efforts. By mimicking natural succession processes, ecologists can rehabilitate degraded landscapes, promote the recovery of endangered species, and restore ecosystem services. Ecosystem stability. Succession contributes to ecosystem stability by creating diverse and resilient communities. A mature climax community is often more resistant to disturbances and can buffer environmental fluctuations more effectively than earlier successional stages. Case studies of ecological succession. Several well-documented case studies illustrate the principles and outcomes of ecological succession. Mount St. Helens. The eruption of Mount St. Helens in 1980 provided a unique opportunity to study primary succession. The volcanic blast created a barren landscape, but within decades, pioneering species like lupins and prairie lupins began to colonize the area. Over time, grasses, shrubs, and trees followed, demonstrating the stages of primary succession. Abandoned farmland. Secondary succession is often observed on abandoned farmland. Initially dominated by fast-growing weeds and grasses, these areas gradually transition to shrublands and eventually forests as the soil recovers and nutrient cycles are restored. Conclusion. Ecological succession is a testament to the resilience and adaptability of ecosystems. Whether through primary succession in newly formed habitats or secondary succession following disturbances, ecosystems have the remarkable ability to regenerate and evolve. Understanding succession processes provides valuable insights into ecological dynamics, conservation strategies, and the sustainable management of natural resources. By recognizing and supporting these natural processes, we can contribute to the health and stability of ecosystems worldwide. Ecosystem services and human impact. Ecosystem services are the benefits that humans derive from natural ecosystems. These services are essential for human survival, economic development, and well-being, encompassing a wide range of functions that support life on Earth. However, human activities often disrupt these services, leading to significant environmental and societal consequences. Understanding ecosystem services and mitigating human impact is crucial for sustainable development and environmental conservation. Types of ecosystem services. Ecosystem services are typically categorized into four main types: provisioning, regulating, supporting, and cultural services. Provisioning services. These are the products directly obtained from ecosystems, including food. Ecosystems provide a vast array of food products, from crops and fruits to fish and livestock. Water. Natural systems like forests and wetlands play a critical role in maintaining water quality and availability. Raw materials. Ecosystems supply timber, fiber, and other raw materials essential for construction, clothing, and various industries. Medicinal resources. Many medicines are derived from plants, animals, and microorganisms found in natural habitats. Regulating services. These services help maintain environmental quality and ecosystem health by regulating various ecological processes. Climate regulation. Forests, oceans, and other ecosystems sequester carbon dioxide, helping to regulate the global climate. Water purification. Wetlands and riparian zones filter pollutants from water, improving water quality. Pollination. Insects, birds, and other animals pollinate crops and wild plants, ensuring food production and biodiversity. Erosion control. Vegetation cover stabilizes soil and prevents erosion, protecting landscapes and water bodies from sedimentation. Supporting services. These are the underlying processes that support other ecosystem services. Nutrient cycling. Decomposers break down organic matter, recycling nutrients that are essential for plant growth. Soil formation. Natural processes, such as weathering and the accumulation of organic matter, contribute to soil formation and fertility. Habitat provision. Ecosystems provide habitats for a vast array of organisms, supporting biodiversity and ecological balance. Cultural services. These services provide non-material benefits that enhance human well-being and cultural identity. Recreational opportunities. Natural landscapes offer spaces for recreation, tourism, and outdoor activities. Spiritual and aesthetic values. Many cultures derive spiritual and aesthetic inspiration from natural environments. Educational and scientific value. Ecosystems offer opportunities for research, education, and the advancement of scientific knowledge. Human impact on ecosystem services. Human activities, including deforestation, pollution, urbanization, and climate change, significantly impact ecosystem services. These impacts can lead to the degradation of ecosystems and the loss of the services they provide, with profound consequences for human societies. Deforestation. The clearing of forests for agriculture, logging, and urban development reduces biodiversity, disrupts climate regulation, and diminishes water quality. Deforestation also contributes to soil erosion and the loss of habitat for countless species. Pollution. Industrial activities, agricultural runoff, and waste disposal introduce pollutants into air, water, and soil, impairing ecosystem functions. Pollution can lead to the loss of biodiversity, the contamination of drinking water sources, and health problems for humans and wildlife. Climate change. Human-induced climate change, driven by the burning of fossil fuels and deforestation, alters temperature and precipitation patterns, affecting ecosystems worldwide. Changes in climate can disrupt food production, water availability, and the distribution of species, leading to reduced ecosystem services. Urbanization. The expansion of urban areas replaces natural landscapes with impermeable surfaces, reducing the capacity of ecosystems to provide services such as water filtration, climate regulation, and habitat provision. Urbanization also fragments habitats, making it difficult for species to survive and migrate. Mitigating human impact. To preserve and enhance ecosystem services, it is essential to adopt sustainable practices and conservation strategies. Sustainable agriculture. Practices such as crop rotation, organic farming, and agroforestry can reduce the negative impacts of agriculture on ecosystems. These practices help maintain soil fertility, reduce pollution, and conserve water. Reforestation and afforestation. Planting trees and restoring forests can enhance carbon sequestration, improve water quality, and provide habitats for biodiversity. These efforts also contribute to climate regulation and soil conservation. Pollution control. Implementing strict regulations on industrial emissions, wastewater treatment, and the use of pesticides and fertilizers can reduce pollution and protect ecosystem services. Promoting clean energy sources and reducing waste can also mitigate environmental impacts. Protected areas and conservation. Establishing protected areas, such as national parks and wildlife reserves, helps preserve critical ecosystems and their services. Conservation efforts should also focus on protecting endangered species and restoring degraded habitats. Climate action. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions, enhancing energy efficiency, and promoting renewable energy sources are essential for mitigating climate change. Adaptive management strategies can also help ecosystems and human communities cope with the impacts of climate change. Conclusion. Ecosystem services are vital for human well-being and the health of our planet. Recognizing the value of these services and the impacts of human activities is crucial for sustainable development. By adopting sustainable practices and conservation strategies, we can protect and enhance ecosystem services, ensuring a healthy and resilient environment for future generations. Key concepts of the chapter: summary and synthesis. In this chapter, we explored several fundamental concepts in ecology, including ecosystems, energy flow and nutrient cycling, population dynamics, community interactions, and ecological succession. These concepts provide a comprehensive understanding of how living organisms interact with each other and their environment. Let's summarize and synthesize the key points discussed in the chapter. Ecosystems. Dynamic interconnected systems. Ecosystems are dynamic and complex systems that consist of living organisms, biotic components, and their non-living environment, abiotic components. These components interact through various ecological processes, creating a web of relationships that sustain life. Ecosystems can vary greatly in size and complexity, from small ponds to vast forests, and they exhibit a delicate balance between their components. Understanding ecosystems involves recognizing the roles of different organisms and the flow of energy and nutrients through these systems. Abiotic and biotic components. Abiotic factors are the non-living elements of an ecosystem, such as temperature, water, sunlight, and soil. These factors influence the types of organisms that can thrive in a given environment and the overall functioning of the ecosystem. Biotic factors, on the other hand, are the living components, including plants, animals, fungi, and microorganisms. The interactions between biotic and abiotic factors determine the structure and health of ecosystems. Energy flow and nutrient cycling. Energy flow and nutrient cycling are fundamental processes that sustain ecosystems. Energy enters ecosystems through primary producers, such as plants and algae, which convert sunlight into chemical energy through photosynthesis. This energy is then transferred through the food chain to herbivores, carnivores, and decomposers. Decomposers play a crucial role in breaking down organic matter and recycling nutrients back into the environment. Nutrient cycling ensures the availability of essential elements like nitrogen, phosphorus, and carbon, which are vital for the growth and survival of organisms. Population dynamics. Populations are groups of individuals of the same species living in a specific area. Population dynamics involve the study of how populations change over time due to factors such as birth rates, death rates, immigration, and emigration. Exponential growth occurs when a population increases at a constant rate, while logistic growth considers the carrying capacity of the environment, leading to a more stabilized population size. Understanding population dynamics helps in managing wildlife, conserving endangered species, and predicting how populations will respond to environmental changes. Community interactions. Communities are composed of different species interacting within a shared environment. These interactions can be competitive, predatory, mutualistic, commensal, or parasitic. Competition occurs when species vie for the same resources, potentially leading to competitive exclusion or resource partitioning. Predation involves one species consuming another, which influences population sizes and drives evolutionary adaptations. Mutualistic interactions benefit both species involved, while commensalism benefits one species without affecting the other. Parasitism involves one species benefiting at the expense of another. Understanding these interactions is crucial for comprehending how species coexist and how ecosystems function. Ecological succession. Ecological succession is the process through which ecosystems change over time, leading to the establishment of a stable climax community. Primary succession occurs in areas where no soil exists, such as newly formed volcanic islands, and progresses from pioneer species to more complex communities. Secondary succession takes place in areas where the soil remains intact after a disturbance, such as abandoned farmland or areas affected by fire. Succession illustrates the resilience of ecosystems and their ability to recover from disturbances, leading to increased biodiversity and ecosystem stability. Ecosystem services. Ecosystem services are the benefits that humans derive from natural ecosystems, including provisioning services, e.g., food, water, raw materials, regulating services, e.g., climate regulation, water purification, supporting services, e.g., nutrient cycling, soil formation, and cultural services, e.g., recreational opportunities, spiritual values. These services are essential for human well-being and economic development. However, human activities such as deforestation, pollution, and climate change can disrupt these services and lead to significant environmental and societal consequences. Human impact and mitigation. Human activities have profound effects on ecosystem services and overall ecosystem health. Addressing these impacts requires adopting sustainable practices such as sustainable agriculture, reforestation, pollution control, and conservation efforts. By recognizing the value of ecosystem services and mitigating negative impacts, we can work towards preserving and enhancing the natural systems that support life on Earth. Conclusion. In summary, the concepts covered in this chapter provide a comprehensive understanding of ecological principles and their applications. From the functioning of ecosystems to the impact of human activities, these concepts highlight the interconnectedness of living organisms and their environment. By studying and applying these principles, we can contribute to the conservation of biodiversity, the sustainability of ecosystems, and the overall health of our planet. Looking ahead, expanding our understanding of ecology. In this chapter, we have laid the foundation for understanding the fundamental concepts of ecology, including ecosystems, energy flow, nutrient cycling, population dynamics, community interactions, ecological succession, and ecosystem services. As we look ahead, our exploration will delve deeper into more specialized and advanced topics within the field of ecology. This continued study will enhance our understanding of complex ecological processes and their implications for environmental management and conservation. Biomes, the world's major ecosystems. Biomes are large-scale ecological communities characterized by distinct climate conditions, plant and animal species, and environmental features. Each biome represents a unique combination of climate, soil, and vegetation, which influences the types of organisms that can thrive there. Key biomes include tropical rainforests. Located near the equator, tropical rainforests are characterized by high temperatures and heavy rainfall. They support the highest biodiversity of any biome, with a dense canopy of trees, numerous plant species, and diverse animal life. Deserts. Deserts are defined by their arid conditions, receiving less than 250 millimeters of rainfall per year. Despite the harsh environment, deserts host a variety of adapted species, including cacti, succulents, and drought-resistant animals. Temperate forests. Found in regions with moderate climates, temperate forests experience distinct seasons and support diverse plant and animal communities. These forests can be deciduous, shedding leaves annually, or evergreen. Tundra. The tundra biome is characterized by cold temperatures, short growing seasons, and permafrost. Vegetation is limited to mosses, lichens, and small shrubs, and animal life includes migratory birds, Arctic mammals, and insects. Understanding biomes helps us grasp how large-scale climate and geographical factors influence ecosystems and biodiversity. Energy pyramids and trophic levels. Energy pyramids and trophic levels are key concepts for understanding the flow of energy through ecosystems. Energy pyramids illustrate the distribution of energy among different trophic levels, from producers to consumers. Trophic levels include producers, organisms such as plants and algae that convert solar energy into chemical energy through photosynthesis. Primary consumers, herbivores that feed on producers and obtain energy directly from plants. Secondary consumers, carnivores that feed on primary consumers and obtain energy from consuming herbivores. Tertiary consumers, apex predators at the top of the food chain that feed on secondary consumers. Energy pyramids demonstrate the energy loss that occurs at each trophic level, with only about 10% of energy being transferred to the next level. This concept is crucial for understanding food web dynamics, ecosystem productivity, and the impact of trophic disruptions. The impact of human activities on ecosystems. Human activities have profound and often detrimental effects on ecosystems. Key areas of concern include climate change. The increase in greenhouse gas emissions is leading to global climate shifts, affecting temperature, precipitation patterns, and sea levels. These changes impact ecosystems by altering species distributions, disrupting ecological relationships, and increasing the frequency of extreme weather events. Habitat destruction, deforestation, urbanization, and land conversion result in the loss and fragmentation of natural habitats. This impacts biodiversity, disrupts ecosystem services, and threatens species survival. Overexploitation. Overfishing, hunting, and resource extraction deplete natural resources and threaten species populations. Unsustainable practices can lead to the collapse of ecosystems and loss of biodiversity. Pollution. Pollution from industrial activities, agricultural runoff, and waste disposal contaminates air, water, and soil. This affects ecosystem health, species survival, and the quality of ecosystem services. Conservation and restoration efforts. Addressing the challenges posed by human activities requires concerted conservation and restoration efforts. Key strategies include protected areas, establishing national parks, wildlife reserves, and marine protected areas helps conserve critical habitats and biodiversity. These areas provide safe havens for species and support ecosystem functions. Restoration projects. Habitat restoration projects aim to rehabilitate degraded ecosystems and enhance their functionality. This includes reforestation, wetland restoration, and the removal of invasive species. Sustainable practices. Promoting sustainable agriculture, forestry, and fishing practices reduces the negative impact on ecosystems and supports long-term resource management. Education and advocacy. Raising awareness about ecological issues and advocating for environmental policies encourages public engagement and supports conservation efforts. Conclusion. As we advance our study of ecology, we will continue to explore biomes, energy pyramids, human impacts, and conservation strategies. By deepening our understanding of these topics, we can better address environmental challenges, protect biodiversity, and promote sustainable practices. Our goal is to contribute to the conservation of ecosystems and the sustainable management of natural resources for future generations.